Hello, and thanks for joining us for this presentation from Battery Age Minerals Chief Executive Gerard O'Donovan. I'm Paul Armstrong from Reed Corporate. Battery Age is exploring the Falcon Lake Lithium Project in Ontario, Canada. Historic drilling has returned strong intersections, and the company is now preparing for its maiden drilling program. The market cap stands at $40 million today, and the company has just raised $6.5 million to fund its ongoing exploration program. Gerard is happy to take questions after his presentation, so if you'd like to ask a question, please click on the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, and we'll endeavour to put as many questions as we can to him. Over to you, Gerard.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you to Reed Corporate, Nicholas, Kate, and yourself, Paul, for having me today for this webinar. I'd like to thank everyone for dialing in so I can share with you the ongoing plans for Battery Age Minerals across all of our three assets. Please see our cautionary statement. I would encourage you to read that at your leisure. So what are the highlights that we attribute to Battery Age Minerals? Well, I'll put that another way. These are the highlights that drew me to the company. This is what I love about Battery Age Minerals. We've got a highly experienced board and management. It's a company that I believe has high growth potential, and as Paul alluded to, we are well funded for our planned ongoing works. The Falcon Lake Lithium Project, it's ideally located in a Tier 1 jurisdiction in Ontario, Canada, which I'll discuss a little later. We have had some outstanding historical exploration. This is not a pure greenfield play. We are going to leverage the historical works that have been completed and move forward upon those works. It's a highly fertile region for lithium pegmatites. We are adjacent to other companies who are exploring in the area, ASX listed companies who have had great success. And our area in particular is very underexplored and has significant mineral prospectivity, which we'll discuss a little later. Our proximity to supporting infrastructure, both rail and power, is extremely positive. And our other assets, the Tidili Copper Gold Project and the Bleiberg Zinc Lead Germanium Project, are located within the battery and critical mineral demand sector. Just a quick corporate snapshot. We were admitted to re-quotation last Monday, the 6th of February, and we've performed relatively well. And we're very encouraged by the support that has been shown from our existing and new shareholders, and it's gone really, really well. So as of last Friday, our share price was 54 cents. We raised, as Paul mentioned, $6.5 million at a 40-cent share price. Shares currently on issue are $80 million, and the market capitalization sits around $40 million. I would like to draw your attention to the percentage of units held by our shareholders. Our top 20 holds 58%, and the top 100 actually own upwards on 80% of the company, which is really, really positive for us. Our board of directors is extremely well experienced and supports the vision for the company, led ably by Robert Martin, our chairman. Robert is an accomplished company director with 25 years experience and has significant experience in Canadian lithium, being the current chairman of Critical Resources, who are well advanced on their development pathway. So he brings a wealth of knowledge with respect to Canadian operations and Canadian lithium. He is supported by Jerry Fahey, a very experienced person who is providing significant advice to us as a group. He has experience in both the international and local minerals industry and is a well-respected gentleman in Perth circles, having sat on the Joint Ore Reserve Committee and was a director of CSA Global. Dr. David Pevchich is a successful investor and businessman. He's been involved in many private ventures and public ventures with mineral exploration companies. And another geologist on our team is Dr. Stephen Windle. He's a Brisbane-based geologist, 30 years experience in mineral exploration, geomet, resource modeling, so has a wealth of knowledge he can bring to the team as part of our exploration campaigns. The management team, myself, I have 12 years experience with 5 in lithium. I was extremely lucky to serve my apprenticeship at Pilbara Minerals under extremely experienced gentlemen such as Ken Brinson, Dale Henderson, and there I was exposed to the rapid growth of the lithium industry, and that has served me well and equips me well to lead Battery Minerals forward. There, I met Nigel Broomham, who we've appointed as our General Manager of Exploration recently. Nigel is an extremely experienced geologist, having gone the journey with Pilbara from exploration all the way through to development and production. He knows the lithium game inside out, and I'm extremely excited to have him as part of our team. During that period, Taylor Smith worked for Nigel, and Taylor has come on board to lead our Canadian operations. Taylor has relocated to Thunder Bay in Canada, and at Pilbara Minerals, he also was an exploration geologist, loved spending time in the rig, knows what good core looks like coming out of the ground, and will bring that knowledge to Canadian operations. There, he will work extremely closely with our in-country geological consulting partner, Coast Mountain Geological. They're led by a very experienced gentleman, Patrick McLaughlin, who has 15 years experience exploring for lithium pegmatites both in Canada and beyond. So I feel that mix of Australian experience and in-country Canadian knowledge will serve us well and will equip us to execute our programs efficiently and successfully. We're also supported really well at a corporate level by Aga Pervez, our CFO, and Harry Spindler, our COSEC. Compliments to these two gentlemen particularly, who put in a power of work in conjunction with our previous chairman, Sufyan Ahmad and Robert Martin, with respect to the requotation of Battery Age Minerals, a really, really successful venture. So I really want to talk about our projects. That's the key to this presentation, and this is what our focus is now moving forward. Falcon Lake, it excites me significantly. It's ideally located in Northwest Ontario, a jurisdiction that is seeing a great push in the battery minerals sector. We have 214 mining claims covering approximately 42.8 kilometers squared. As I mentioned, it's a tier 1 jurisdiction that is well supported by the Ford government, the Ford local government, as well as the federal government. We have established all-weather infrastructure, which connects us to Thunder Bay, a population over 100,000 people, an industrial town that was built on the paper and pulp industry and grain industry, but it is now repurposing itself for the influx of resource companies that are coming to the area. They see the benefits of resource company, and their recent vision moving forward had resources and mining as the #1 pillar of their advancement as a town. In the region, we have proposed electrification of the area with the Little Jackfish Hydroelectric Power Station, a proposed 78 megawatt station, which would be located within 10 kilometers of the Battery Age Minerals site. And we're also extremely lucky that the Trans-Canadian rail line runs just south of our claims, and that would connect us to all major Canadian cities, as well as to Thunder Bay. So if proven successful, a route to market is there, the infrastructure is there, and it ticks a lot of boxes for me and gets me really excited about the location of the actual project. Moving to the project itself and delving into the specifics, I love this slide. This slide paints a picture for me about the pathway forward for us as a business and what we are going to do over the next 12 to 18 months. Falcon Lake has huge exploration potential. It's underexplored, in my personal opinion. There is 3 known historical lithium occurrences on the property. You can see they sit within the priority exploration corridor, which we have defined. But apart from those 3 lithium occurrences, there has been very little work done on the property. You can see there is quite a lot of access with respect to the blue lines, and there is a significant amount of mapped spodumene-bearing pegmatites. So talking about Falcon Lake West in particular, it has been explored, and the area in particular was explored back in the 50s by a company called BCLM, and then was explored in 2010 and 2014 again. The whole essentially which drew me to this project is FLD 006, 24.4 meters at 1.43%. And what drew me even more to the project was the depth. It was from 10.9 meters. So reasonably close to surface, good thickness and good grade. So that ticks 3 boxes for me. The next thing we have to do as a business is now go and explore this asset, look at it in detail, develop a systematic exploration plan, which we have already done, and deploy that through a maiden drill program. So the mapped spodumene bearing pegmatites are very encouraging to us. That shows that there is prospectivity between the historical lithium occurrences, and our focus for our program, which I'll discuss in a bit more detail shortly, will be to work in between those historical lithium occurrences and define this asset such that we can then progress more and more and explore further and further. I'll also draw your attention to the east of the property, beyond Falcon Lake East. What you can see there essentially is a greenfield site. It hasn't been touched, it hasn't really been walked, it's in the mineral prospective corridor. There is huge potential. And we're already looking at our summer program when the snow melts to get in there and to rapidly advance our mapping campaigns in that area. So I'm extremely encouraged by Falcon Lake, at the Falcon Lake asset itself, and really look forward to getting in there and kicking off that maiden drill campaign in the near future. Now, that maiden drill campaign, what have we done to advance it? So we've established our Canadian operations, which we announced last week. Taylor Smith, our lead exploration geologist, has deployed to Canada and has set up in our regional office in Thunder Bay. We've been to site on a number of occasions just to look at the property, and we've also engaged with Coast Mountain Geological, our in-country geological partner. You can see their card there next to a rather large spodumene bearing crystal. So we're extremely excited about planning that campaign, which is essentially complete. We're finalizing details with a view to executing that campaign within the next couple of months. That pathway is mapped in this diagram, which I'd like to discuss a little more. But firstly, I would like to review the success we've had in a considerably short period of time. We've successfully relisted on the ASX. We've rebranded the company to Battery Age Minerals. We've raised $6.5 million and we've acquired 3 premium assets. A fantastic job by the team to set us up moving forward. We've established our Canadian operations. Taylor has moved to Thunder Bay. We've engaged in early discussions with our First Nations groups. That's of extreme importance to me, that we build a good relationship with the people whose land we are working on, and they're progressing quite well, and I look forward to working with those groups into the future. Canadian visit by senior management. Tomorrow I fly to Canada and to Thunder Bay, where we will visit site within the next week. I'll be accompanied by Nigel, and there we will meet our chairman, Robert Martin, so we can continue to plan that maiden drill program in country and ensure that we are set up for success. We will attend PDAC, where we will represent the business, and we're also looking to build strong local relationships in Armstrong and Thunder Bay, building the brand of the company and working closely with the people such that we actually develop the company and we integrate into the community and perform in a manner which is accepted and seen in favourable manner by the community. So that's been some great success, but looking forward-looking is important to us. And what are we going to do? The maiden drill program is everything. Our focus on Falcon Main. So we are in discussions with drilling contractors. We are in discussions with Coast Mountain. We are progressing that, and we are very hopeful of executing that campaign by the end of Q2. Pending the results of that campaign, we will then look to what we do moving forward with respect to an expanded campaign or an accelerated program. So we're forward looking. We've planned 23, we're looking at 24, and we need to ensure that we have a runway of works that we can deploy in a number of scenarios such that we can develop the asset as quickly as possible and return value to our shareholders. In conjunction to the drilling program, we're also looking at summer field works. So when the snow melts, we want to get on the ground as quickly as possible, deploy our personnel and explore the assets. How we will do that is through a region or through a number of ways. That will be field works on Falcon Main and some of our regional claims. We'll also deploy some LiDAR and ortho imagery, some geomagnetic surveys, some lithogeochem transects, and also some field prospecting works. So we're already in discussions and securing personnel as Canada is hotting up, as we do know. So securing personnel to execute those works is extremely important, hence the reason we have partnered closely with an in-country geological group. So as you can see from this slide, we have been considered and systematic about our exploration program for 23 and beyond. We have a plan. Now's the time to go and execute it. It would be remiss of me not to talk about the global market demand, and I think most people who've probably dialed in today know that there is a deficit with respect to lithium and other critical minerals. I'm very bullish on Canada and I'm very bullish on North America. The Biden government has obviously released the Inflation Reduction Act. The Trudeau government is very active in the region with respect to supporting industry and supporting battery metals. And there has been some analysts who've spoken with respect to the deficit and it closing. Personally, I can't agree with those. I think there's proof in action rather than words. Hence the reason I've added the two headlines from Bleiberg below. So in the last couple of weeks, we've seen General Motors and Lithium Americas sign an agreement to invest $650 million to develop Thacker Pass. That's an OEM going to the resource level, going to the raw material provider to ensure that they can secure supply. That's happening and will happen more. Ford plans to build an EV battery plant, which was confirmed this morning. I don't know if people have seen that, but it was confirmed that they will build an LFP manufacturing plant in Michigan, which is accessible by road from Thunder Bay. And that's in conjunction with CATL. So CATL are providing the technological background to develop the LFP battery, but it is being manufactured in America, and we will see more of that. Why then do I think that Battery Age Minerals is ideally placed to support that? Well, a picture paints 1,000 words. You can see where we're located, Northwest Ontario, and you can see the number of OEMs that are located in the area, and there is only more development going to come in North America. So I believe that Battery Age Minerals and other Canadian lithium-based companies are in a prime position to supply that market. And it's only a matter of time before OEMs come knocking on the doors of groups like us, and they look to shore up that supply because they need it. It's quite easy to build a gigafactory. It takes a lot more time to develop a raw material mine. I've said that before and I'll say it again, but I believe we can do so as quickly as possible as long as we explore in a systematic fashion and we ensure that we carry out all our approvals in an efficient manner. Canada also, as I discussed earlier, is an extremely supportive jurisdiction. The Canadian Critical Minerals Strategy, which was released last December, demonstrates a desire from the Canadian government to create an ecosystem within Canada which locks up raw material supply and carries it all the way through the supply chain to battery manufacturing. And they're trying to retain that within Canada. So Canada itself is trying to retain its raw material supply, which is very, very encouraging. I'm extremely lucky when I go to Canada to meet up with Greg Rickford, the Minister for Northern Development in the Ford government. And I met him last time I was there, and he's extremely bullish on retaining Ontario supply within Ontario. We've seen a lot of speculation within the news with respect to Volkswagen and Tesla and where they will build their next gigafactory. And we are very much hoping it is in Canada, and we anticipate that it will be. So Falcon Lake, Battery Age Minerals, our exploration program, I think we're in a great position and a great jurisdiction. I would also like to talk about two of our other assets, the Tidili Copper Gold Project and the Bleiberg Lead Zinc Germanium asset. Copper in Morocco, it's an extremely exciting prospect on a greenfield asset. We have 35 square kilometers of land holding. It's a significantly underexplored jurisdiction. There has been some previous exploration, including soil sampling, trenching and rock chip sampling. And again, it is close to supporting infrastructure, being approximately 2 hours south of Marrakesh. We have kicked off our planning in the background for these works. May not be advertised as much, but we are really pushing these forward in a systematic fashion. We will be looking at doing some exploration activities probably later in the year, and that will be getting boots on ground and verifying some of the stream samples that were taken historically, and defining what the next systematic program would be with respect to getting on the ground and carrying out a more comprehensive program. The Bleiberg Zinc Lead Germanium project, it's in a historical mining jurisdiction. The adjacent mine was mined up until 1993, producing both zinc and lead. There is a large quantity of historical mining records which we need to assess and quantify and work through. And that then will define the systematic program that we deploy at Bleiberg. It is also prospective for germanium, a byproduct of lead zinc mining, and that's a key element required for semiconductors, microchips, and other high-value applications. And that excites us. That's a moving industry. That's an area we're looking at, and we're extremely keen to investigate that further and look at what we can do moving forward with Bleiberg. So we are working on those two projects and extremely excited to see where they go. So if I was sitting in your seat and I was looking at myself talking today, these are the key takeaways I would like you to take from this discussion. I believe that Battery Age Minerals has high growth potential. We're a low market cap company in the battery minerals space. We're extremely well funded for our future activities. All our assets are located in high growth markets. And particularly Falcon Lake, I've talked about it already, but we're ideally placed to leverage that growing North American market. And I think it's booming. I think it is the new Pilbara, the region, and it will be where the vast majority of batteries are manufactured moving forward. We have underexplored assets, but we also have systematic programs to define and explore them. So historical results of Falcon Lake have been outstanding. The truth is now at the end of the drill bit. So we're looking at getting our maiden drill program to define that. 3 isolated locations, 5 kilometers of mineral prospectivity, and significant greenfield potential at Tidili and Bleiberg. Let's not forget those. But where I think the best value is our defined and targeted plan for 23. We are set, we are agreed, we have stacked hands on what we are doing as an experienced management team with a supported board. We will now go and deploy that exploration program. We'll do that in conjunction with the First Nations communities and local people, and hopefully, I'm pretty confident we will have great success in those exploration programs. So we're defined, we're ready to go, and we're ready to return value to our shareholders. So I'd like to thank you for dialing in today. I'm very open to taking some questions, Paul. And also my email address is at the bottom of this slide, and I'm more than happy to have conversations with shareholders at any point if they wish. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Gerard. Yes, there are a couple of questions focusing on the lithium, not surprisingly.
Sure.
The first question says that asks about your historic drilling results that you referred to. When was this drilling done, and why wasn't it pursued at the time?
So the drilling was done in 2010 and 2016. As we know, at that time, the lithium market came off and cooled significantly. So obviously a junior miner needs to invest money in a growth market. So my assumption, and I'm not 100%, I may not be 100% accurate, but I believe at the time the market just wasn't there, and the company may have redirected its focus elsewhere. Lucky for us, that historical exploration is completed, and now we can leverage on that moving forward.
In a similar vein, someone has asked, will the drilling program you've been talking about be right close to those historic holes?
We will carry out some verification work on the old workings and the old drilling, but we also plan on expanding. There is a lot of unexplored potential between the lithium occurrences, and we do intend on testing that ground. So it is a combination of both. The first program is essentially a reconnaissance program to define the asset, and then we will move forward more to expand pending the results of that initial program.
What do you know about the metallurgy of the area?
Not much to begin with. So the geology is very similar. The greenstone belt is very similar to the Pilbara. Metallurgical testing would have to occur at a certain point down the track based on our activities, and as we move more towards resource development and a development pathway, that is something we're mindful of, and we know we will need to address. Not sure is the question referring to the geology of the asset or the metallurgy, but I'd be happy to discuss that more at length if it is with respect to the geology.
And also another question on a similar line again, would you expect to be the area to be spodumene?
Yep. So yes, we have identified visible spodumene outcrops. Some of those crystals you saw earlier appear to be spodumene bearing crystals. So yes, we are very hopeful that it will be spodumene bearing pegmatites. That's been proven by the historical drilling and the assaying that has been done. But we need to continue on in that vein and expand that drilling program to define the breadth of that mineralization.
What is the timetable of the exploration regarding the start of drilling, results, news flow, etc.?
So, as I mentioned in the presentation, we're extremely, we're hoping to commence the drill program by the end of this financial year, hopefully sooner. The reason we are deploying to Canada is to accelerate that program where possible. We've obviously just been readmitted to quotation, so there's a number of items we need to finalise with respect to awarding to drillers and some other logistical issues, but nothing that is unsurmountable. So we're very hopeful that that will commence quite soon. Assays, that's a question we will address once we get some samples out of the ground, but it should be a pretty quick process, pretty quick turnaround. But we will update the market as we progress the program, and we will continue to keep our shareholders informed of how we are progressing.
Just a reminder to anyone watching, if you'd like to ask a question, please click on the Q&A tab. We only have one more question at this stage, Gerard, and that is on the copper. What is the short to medium term plan on the copper front?
So short-term plan is to assess the geological data we have to hand. We have been able to lay our hands on some additional data most recent in the last week. We will do some desktop works. We will get boots on ground later this year, as I said, to verify some of the historical stream chemistry works that were completed. We will then define an exploration program where we will go back again and carry out some additional works with a view to potentially drilling more than likely next year. Our focus currently really is on Falcon Lake, and so we will carry out those works in the background with a view to doing some more substantive works later next year or early next year.
Gerard, that's all our questions. It appears you've answered everyone's questions. No, we do have one more.
Great.
In such a prospective region, is the company actively looking to acquire any further licenses?
We're predominantly focused on what we're working on at the moment. That said, we're always keeping an eye out, but really our focus right now after re-quotation is to work on our existing claims. We feel the prospectivity of those claims is extremely good, and our focus should be on those. So at the moment, focus is on Falcon Lake.
I think that's it, Gerard. After a false start there, I think we have all the questions have been answered. Thanks very much, Gerard, for the presentation. Thanks everybody for joining us today. A recording of this presentation will be available shortly. It'll be up online. Click on the same link and you'll be able to access it. Thanks again, Gerard, and thanks to everyone for joining us.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you, everyone.